Welcome to our 2026/2027 Premier League Explainer. Look, if you follow English football, you already know we're standing right on the edge of what might literally be the most volatile and fascinating season in recent memory. Today, we're going to break down the underlying data, the big transfer market shifts, and the tactical realities to predict exactly who is taking home the title. So let's just dive straight in. Arsenal emphatically ended that agonizing 22-year drought with an 85-point finish last season. And now, the absolute biggest question in world football is whether anyone can actually dethrone Mikel Arteta's squad. They maxed out their potential, but hey, as we all know, staying at the very top is usually way harder than getting there. Taking a quick look at how the market's reading the room right now, the Racing Post odds have Arsenal as the clear 6-4 favorites. Now, to understand exactly why the market is leaning so heavily toward North London, we really need to look at the massive, unprecedented managerial upheaval that's completely blowing up the traditional hierarchy of English football.
Section 1. The equation of a champion. To make a really solid prediction today, we're not just going to rely on gut feelings.
We're using a structural, data-driven framework. And honestly, the math behind a champion season is surprisingly elegant. It's like a formula. A winning team absolutely has to maximize the top half, so squad cohesion and tactical continuity, while minimizing the bottom half, which is the transition risk from massive squad overhauls, managerial changes, and the heavy legs from European fixture fatigue. Keep this exact equation in the back of your mind, because it perfectly explains everything that's about to unfold. Section 2. City's post-Guardiola vacuum. Let's head over to our first major challenger, Manchester City, and see how they stack up against our equation. For the last decade, City has basically been the gold standard, right? But the ground is seriously shifting beneath their feet. They're facing immense transition risk right now. Pep Guardiola is leaving the dugout after a legendary 10 years and 20 trophies at the Etihad. And he's leaving his former assistant, Enzo Maresca, the pretty unenviable task of replacing him. Maresca is coming in on a 3-year deal. And while he definitely knows the club, history tells us that replacing a generational genius like Pep, that is rarely a seamless process. It's a massive structural shock. What's really wild to see here is the profound loss of tactical intelligence on the pitch. City is losing totally irreplaceable veterans, guys like Bernardo Silva and John Stones. And at the exact same time, they're aggressively trying to integrate much younger profiles, like targeting Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest. So you're essentially swapping a full decade of ingrained tactical understanding for raw, untested potential. So here is the absolute crucial point. Adjusting to a new tactical manager for the first time in 10 years severely spikes City's transition risk. Maresca has very strict positional patterns, and trying to implement those while bleeding out your core veteran leadership, that makes a seamless succession highly improbable. If we look back at our equation, City's transition risk is suddenly glaringly high.
Section 3. High-stakes chaos at Chelsea. If City is dealing with a vacuum, Chelsea is dealing with an absolute hurricane. Under the Blue Coat ownership,
Xabi Alonso has just been appointed on a 4-year deal, stepping in to replace Liam Rosenior, and astoundingly, this makes Alonso the club's 6th permanent manager in just 4 years. 6. So maybe don't unpack your bags entirely just yet, Axie. That level of constant turnover makes true squad cohesion practically impossible to achieve. Now sure, Alonso won that incredible, unbeaten Bundesliga title with Leverkusen a while back, but he brings his own major transition risk. He's arriving right after a really turbulent 8-month spell at Real Madrid that was plagued by dressing room friction, and now he has to walk right into Stamford Bridge and try to stabilize this incredibly bloated squad that cost roughly £2 billion to assemble. It's a truly fascinating project, but one that's inherently plagued by transition risk. Section 4. Liverpool's new tactical regime. The managerial churn just keeps going over at Anfield, where Fenway Sports Group recently stepped in with a surprisingly swift intervention. Arne Slot was actually dismissed just 1 year after winning the Premier League title for Liverpool. The data basically showed stagnation, which led FSG to target Bournemouth's Andoni Iraola. They want Iraola to install a super aggressive, high-pressing, vertical style. But again, bringing in a completely new tactical regime means you're basically starting from scratch when it comes to tactical continuity. And compounding this massive structural reset is the departure of Mohamed Salah, along with the stalwart Andy Robertson. Salah's exit represents an absolutely devastating loss of elite goal-scoring output. Trying to replace him, while at the exact same time adapting to a brand new, high-intensity transition system under a new manager, that is a monumental task. Liverpool's transition phase is going to be heavily, heavily strained. Section 5. Why Arsenal will repeat. Now, I want you to contrast all of that chaos, all that massive transition risk at City, Chelsea, and Liverpool with Mikel Arteta's Arsenal.
Arsenal are really reaping the rewards of perfect timing. They already completed a massive £250 million investment cycle last summer. That money brought in core, proven title-winning contributors, guys like Victor Gyökeres, who banged in 21 league goals, alongside midfield anchor Martin Zubamendi. Their rebuild, it's completely finished.
So, looking back at our equation one more time, Arsenal currently possesses absolute peak squad cohesion. While their direct competitors are desperately trying to adapt to new managers and learn entirely new systems, Arsenal's core is entering its second fully integrated season together. We're talking players like Saliba, Odegaard, Saka, and Gyökeres. They don't have to learn a new system, they just have to perfect the one they already know inside and out.
Tactically speaking, this gives them a massive, massive advantage. They have total continuity under Arteta. They boast an elite defensive double pivot in Declan Rice and Martin Zubamendi to completely control transitions. And crucially, they're insulating themselves against that other big risk factor, European fixture fatigue, by targeting versatile depth like Morgan Rogers for £80 million. That gives Arteta the exact depth he needs to rotate players without dropping performance levels one bit.
The quantitative analysis really leaves very little room for doubt here. The data definitively projects Arsenal to win the 2026-2027 title because they easily boast the most robust statistical and tactical profile in the entire league. They perfectly maximize the top half of our equation, cohesion and continuity, while their rivals are basically drowning in the transition risk at the bottom.
So, what does this all mean for us? The big takeaway is that we aren't just looking at a team trying to defend a title. We're looking at a true structural anomaly. With City, Liverpool, and Chelsea all completely caught up in high-stakes transitions, you really have to ask yourself, are we watching the dawn of a back-to-back Arsenal dynasty? Well, let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.